I see you've made it to my lair, but you cannot possibly defeat me, the Stardust Starlight big-ass dragon.
You may be a more powerful dragon than I've ever faced, but I'm a Speedroid player. I always come prepared. Ha!
What the hell was that?
Try a taste of my Speedroid Crunchy Crocodile and my Speedroid Slimy Strawberry.
What was that? Did you just... What are you doing? Why would you... Stop!
Is this working? You feel like giving up?
Yeah, I mean, kinda. Just get out of here, man.
Another victory for the crap I found in my pockets. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Legendary Duelist's Synchro Storm is an extremely strange set. Despite containing upgrades for the best deck in the format, and enough playables for Speedroid to potentially become playable, the player base seems to be treating it as a Baroness holding facility. In fact, the pack is so unexciting that Konami didn't even release hype videos for it. Come on, you could have squashed our beef right now and let me premiere the card that turns Clearwing into a car.
Morty, you gotta turn into a car!
So here's the list. This one comes to us courtesy of King Magic Ruler, and let's just get this out of the way now. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the pack opening website that everyone's using for their progression series, but you might have also missed it's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. I personally use it to post the Chalice Line monthly deck breakdowns, and we've got one of those coming up tomorrow, where hopefully you'll see those decks in action. So with that, let's snuggle into Speedroid. Speedroid is an archetype of wind machine monsters used by Yugo in Arc V. Yugo is the synchro dimension counterpart of Yuya's standard dimension, which sounds like what my grandparents hear when I tell them how to open a PDF. I hope this isn't a sign that I'm getting too old for Yu-Gi-Oh! This shit is basically my meal ticket at this point. Anyway, these monsters are good at one thing and one thing only: synchro summoning. In the modern era, that also means they are good at losing, because trying to synchro summon in 2021 is going to get you laughed out of the nursing home. To add insult to injury, a great many of these monsters lock you into wind special summons, which basically means you're only able to make different flavors of wing synchro dragons, and not a lot else. And yet, it's pretty good. Like many archetypes Konami just won't let die, this archetype's literal 16 waves of support have imbued it with just enough power to actually compete. The newest pieces releasing in Synchro Storm are Speedroid Roulette, which may be the first playable card since Snipe Hunter that requires you to roll a die, Speedroid Party Horn Kid, and Speedroid Duplicate, a combination compulsory evacuation device and extender. Aside from main deck playmakers, the deck also has some hilarious extra deck bosses, including, of course, Baroness de Fleur, Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and a motorcycle. This is, strange direction for synchro bosses, but you can't argue with the power of this synchro motorcycle. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, a generic searcher that apparently no one is making use of, Win the Wind Medium. You can discard this card and another wind monster to add a wind monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, and you can't activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except wind monsters. A lot of these Speedroids like to be in the graveyard, so the discard isn't too big of a deal. Case in point, Speedroid Denden Daiko Duke can be banished from the graveyard to special summon a Speedroid tuner from your hand or graveyard except itself. Next up is Speedroid Car Turbo. If you control a wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and of course it locks you into anything but monster effects from wind monsters, and you can banish this card in a Speedroid from your graveyard to give all wind monsters you control 800 attack until the end of the turn. Trust me, every opponent is going to forget that you can do that. Next up is Speedroid Takatomborg, back from a stint in Burning Abyss. If you control a wind monster, this is a free special from the hand, and you contribute this card to special summon a Speedroid tuner monster from your deck, but it locks you into winds. Did you know that this card has a second effect? I didn't until playing this deck. After that is Speedroid Marble Machine, a pendulum for some reason. This card once per turn has a pendulum. When your defense position monster is targeted for an attack, can change it to face up attack position and prevent it from being destroyed by battle. Its monster effect triggers when it's normaled and allows you to add a Speedroid from your deck to your hand, and of course wind locks you. Next up is Primitive Butterfly. This is just a free special summon if you control no monsters and it happens to be wind. 2 copies of Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice, very important for synchro climbing. When it's normal or special, you can target a Speedroid you control except for Red-Eyed Dice and declare a level from 1 or 6. It becomes that level until the end of the turn. Speedroid Terror Top is of course extremely powerful. I probably don't need to reiterate its effect, but I'm going to do so anyway because the longer the video is, the more money I make. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and when it's normal or special summoned by any mechanism, including from deck, you could add a Speedroid from your deck to your hand except for Terror Top. This is limited for a reason, kids. Speedroid Party Horn Kid, when it's normally special summoned, allows you to excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of winds you control, add one of the excavated cards to your hand, not necessarily a wind monster, and then the rest go at the bottom of the deck in any order. You can also banish it from the graveyard to target a level 3 or higher wind monster you control and reduce its level by 2. This does come up. After that is Speedroid Double Yo-Yo. Your rubber band shooter is probably going to be Double Yo-Yo and Terror Top exactly. When this card is normal summoned, you can target a level 3 or lower Speedroid in your graveyard and special summon it. Red-haired Hasty Horse is just like Primitive Butterfly, just a free special summon, and Speedroid Rubber Band Plane is also a free special summon, but it also happens to be a Speedroid. After that, we've got Speed Recovery. I cannot believe this card was printed. Target a Speedroid monster in your graveyard, special summon it. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to target a Speedroid monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Now, I want to ask you one question about Speed Recovery. Where's the once per turn on this one? Next up is Speedroid Roulette. You can discard a card to roll a 6-sided die and special summon up to 2 Speedroid monsters from your hand or deck whose total levels equal the result but negate their effects. It does not matter what you roll. There is always going to be a permutation of them. Next up is Called by the Grave. This card allows you to, of course, banish a card from your opponent's graveyard in order to play through hand traps. Monster Reborn. It's kind of like a bad Speed Recovery. 2 copies of Speedroid Duplicate. You can banish a wind monster from your graveyard, then target a card your opponent controls, return it to the hand, and during the main phase, if it's in your graveyard, you can target a Speedroid monster you control, reduce its level by 1, and summon the trap back as a normal monster that helps you extend. Finally, we've got 3 Crossout Designator and 4 targets, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom, Joy Spring, Nibiru, and Droll Lockbird. These are all pretty devastating to your combo, so it's important that you're on the Crossout. In the extra, we've got Cosmo Blazar if we want to live the dream. High Speedroid Clearwing Rider. This allows you to once per turn roll a die and shuffle wind monsters from your deck equal to the result, then destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number shuffled, and if you do, it gains 500 for each one shuffled by this effect. During your opponent's main phase, you contribute this Synchro Summoned card to special summon up to 2 level 7 wind Synchro monsters with different names from your extra deck. Crazy strong. We've got Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon. This can be made with a Tuner Synchro and a non-Tuner Clearwing. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can activate this effect until the end of the turn. This card gains attack equal to that monster's attack. This card is unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effects. And then once per turn, when a spell trap card or effect is activated, you can negate it and destroy the card. If it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent, either battle or card effect, you can add a wind monster from your deck to your hand. A very hard card to out. Baroness de Fleur, of course, needs no introduction, allows you to destroy 1 card on the field, and it is a negate. We've got Shen Shen in here as well. Hilariously, you can make this because it is a wind. And a card that I don't see a lot of people talking about, despite the fact that it's extremely powerful. High Speedroid Kite Drake. If this card is synchro summoned, you can activate one of these effects. 1, destroy all other cards on the field. 2, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls. So it's either Final Destination or it's Dark Ruler No More. That's incredible. After that is Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Clearwing Synchro Dragon, Clearwing Fast Dragon, Wind Pegasus Adignister, High Speedroid Hagoida, High Speedroid Puzzle, and 2 newbies, High Speedroid Cork Blaster. If this is synchro summoned, you can add a Speedroid spell trap from your deck to your hand, which is incredible. And if it was synchro summoned using only Speedroids as material, and all the pieces of material are still in the graveyard, you can special summon them. This is a great way to either extend or get an extender from your deck. It's unbelievably strong. And finally, High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter, their singular link representation. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves perform an additional normal summon of a wind monster, and of course it wind locks you. You can banish a wind synchro from your extra deck to reveal 2 Speedroid monsters with different names from your deck, whose total levels equal the level of that synchro monster. Your opponent randomly picks 1 to add to your hand, and you send the other to the graveyard. Usually you're revealing Terror Top and Double Yo-Yo, because no matter what your opponent picks, you're going to get the Terror Top off. Now, both of these are hard ones per turns, but that's not too big of an issue if you only have 1 copy. Let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Plunder Patrol, which is really funny when you think about it. Wind Ship When. We're going first. We're going to begin with a copy of Marble Machine that will eat an Ash Blossom. Next, we're going to special summon a copy of Red-Haired Hasty Horse and go into a Rubber Band Shooter. We'll activate the effect. They'll effect Veiler, and thankfully we have the Called by the Grave. That's the end of their interactions for the turn, and since we banished a 7, we will reveal both a Double Yo-Yo and a Terror Top. We get the Double Yo-Yo, so we'll normal summon that, bringing back the Terror Terratop and triggering the Terratop effect in order to get a Takatomborg. We'll activate the effect of the Takatomborg to tag into a Red-Eyed Dice, then trigger Red-Eyed Dice targeting the Terratop to make it available for a Cork Blaster summon. We will Cork Blaster back the Red-Eyed Dice in the Terratop, then trigger the effect of the Red-Eyed Dice to make this Cork Blaster a 5. We'll go into Hagoita and Baroness de Fleur, then reborn the Cork Blaster, bring back the Hagoita, and make a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as well, before passing it back to our opponents. They're going to begin with a top-decked Pot of Desires. That is a perfect target for Baroness. Afterwards, they'll activate Shipyard, activate the effect in order to get a copy of Booty, set a card, and pass turn. This should be the end of the game, so let's flex a little bit. We'll tag out of the Baroness into a copy of Red-Eyed Dice. We'll activate Red-Eyed Dice, targeting this copy of Terrortop. Then we'll normal summon a copy of Party Horn Kid. We'll reveal off the top 3 cards, 4 rather, and Car Turbo is the pick. We'll go into a Baroness de Fleur, trigger the effect of the Hagoita Engrave, activate the effect Engrave of the Party Horn Kid, and make a puzzle as well. From here we can recovery in order to bring back the Terratop, and fun fact, we haven't activated the Terratop effect this turn. We'll Baroness the set card, and our opponent will concede. Well, that felt a little bit like kicking a puppy, but sometimes the puppies deserve it. Our second match is up against Hero, and this game showcases just what happens when you run up against turn-ending hand traps. We're going to begin with a copy of Speedroid Terratop, add a copy of Marble Machine to hand, and immediately get drolled. Okay, we can still probably make something happen. We'll go Red-Eyed Dice into Cork Blaster, bringing back both the Red-Eyed Dice and the Terratop. We will trigger the effect of the Red-Eyed Dice, targeting the Terratop for 6, so we can go into Clear Wing, followed by a Crystal Clear Wing. This should be enough to get us to the next turn, at which point Marble Machine will win the game for us. Our opponent's going to go for a Pot of Prosperity and find off the top. Wow, a bunch of garbage. Oh, and Ferris. Okay, they're going to go for the Ferris after resolution in order to send this copy of Shadow Mist to the graveyard and summon itself. They'll activate Ferris's effect and Shadow Mists in sequence in order to get a copy of Stratos. They're going to normal summon the Stratos and pop our back row. Dang it. Okay, we're going to have to fire off the Infip a little earlier than we would have wanted, but as they go for the increase effect, oh, we get to flex a little bit of Rulings knowledge on them. Did you know that counts as a spell trap? We'll negate and destroy it, and on our turn, we should be able to OTK. We'll go Speed Recovery into Terratop. They have another Droll and Lockbird, but it's far too late for that. We'll special summon this Car Turbo, and normal summon a Marble Machine. Will go into Hagoita and Takatomborg. We'll Takatomborg for a copy of Daiko Denduke to go into Crystal Wing, then Daiko Den to bring back this Red-Eye Dice, trigger the effect targeting our Terratop once again, and activate the effect of Hagoita. Finally, we're going to activate Card Engrave and get in for well over lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Drytron, and they're going first. However, we've drawn 2 of our crossout targets, and they're kind of the killer ones versus this deck. Ash Droll might just do it. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Nova. We'll try and cut them off Drytron names, and it works. They only have the Gamma in rotation. They're going to Diviner in order to send a copy of Herald to the graveyard and then add from their deck to their hand a Benten, which we will Droll. They're going to go for Gamma for some reason, and oh my god, we got to ban this card. Oh, man, we gotta ban this card. Okay, they'll pass back to us. It's only 1 negate. We might be able to do it. We'll go from Red-Eyed Dice into Car Turbo, and oh, they had the second negate with the Ava Engrave anyway. Okay, I don't know. Puzzle into the Verte Anaconda. Maybe we can do it next turn if they kill the puzzle. Seems unlikely. They'll go for Dragoon, targeting the puzzle. We'll take 13. They're going to normal a Diviner. They'll activate the Diviner effect, sending another Herald. They're going to Herald for the, Ritual spell. Oh, God, we're going to have to beat Zeus, too. Okay, this seems pretty impossible. We're taking 25 and 3k, and then in second main, they're going to activate the effect of Beatrice to get another Drytron into rotation, go to Zeus, and pass back to us. We can trigger Puzzle here for Takatomborg, but it's got to be something crazy off the top, and that's like the worst possible draw. So it's time for game 2, and oh, nice full house, buddy. We're going first. We should be able to do this. Our hand is a little wonky, but still probably does it. We'll go into a Rubber Band Shooter, banishing a copy of Wind Pegasus ad Ignister, and thankfully we get the double Yo-Yo to hand. We'll activate that effect, bringing back this copy of Terratop, then trigger the effect of the Terratop in order to get a copy of Takatomborg. We'll special summon the Takatomborg and go into a Red-Eyed Dice, and at minimum we can end here on a Baroness de Fleur. We're going to target our monster, go into Cork Blaster, Cork Blast back both of our monsters, and then go ahead and activate the effect of Red-Eyed Dice again, targeting our Cork Blaster, going into 5, and making Hagoita Baroness set to pass. Probably fine for a duplicate open. Our opponent's going to begin with a Zeta. They're going to summon a Zeta and get the Ritual spell. They'll normal summon the Diviner, and we are not letting that resolve. Get Ash Blossomed. Next, they're going to go for a Pot of Prosperity. We will Baroness in order to make them feel like shields are down, and ho-ho! You have walked directly into our Compulse. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and oh, God. Well, they're going first and they have a combo, so I guess we can probably just call this one right now. They'll go for Cyber Emergency, and all they have to find off of this Pot of Prosperity is any other Drytron name. I mean, even then they can probably make it work. Yep, there is an Alpha, so that will do it. They're going to go ahead and take that Alpha, and then afterwards they're going to fire off the Diviner. The Diviner is going to set a copy of Herald to the graveyard. The Herald will get a copy of Ben 10, and we'll pitch the Ben 10 for the Zeta. I'm trying to think what I can possibly do. Like, the Terror Top in hand is pretty good, but definitely not enough versus the end board here. Ugh, this is just so frustrating to sit through. I think I'm probably going to start including sideboards in 10-minute testings, because doing matches like this gives people the false impression that Drytron is actually good, but in Game 3, you're never going to not be playing against some sort of turn-ending hand trap, so why even bother? Anyway, Ben 10 effect. All we have to beat on this board is Herald of Ultimateness, 3 Herald of Orange Light in the hand, a Beatrice, and a Dragoon of Red Eyes. Really sick, really sick. Okay, well, we do have the Terror Top. We're going to go for the Marble Machine first. That's unsurprisingly going to be negated. Afterwards, we can special the Terror Top. We'll activate the effect. They will negate it as well. We'll go for the Speed Recovery to bring it back, and they let it resolve, unfortunately. We'll walk into the Verte Anaconda, set 2, and pass. It would have to be a monumental screw-up to lose this one, and just activating the effect of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is probably lethal. They're going to normal summon a Diviner, eat the remaining back row. It is a Called by the Grave, so we will chain it for comedy value. They'll negate it with Dragoon, and then just switch their monsters to attack and get in for lethal. So we're back with the deck, and Drytron, man. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's consistent. You wouldn't know it looking at the deck, but this assemblage of like 12 different one-ofs is actually extremely smooth. Each card has a hard once per turn, but basically, they all do the same thing. 2, its choke point isn't particularly telegraphed. Sure, Rubber Band Shooter is like an amazing time to fire off a hand trap usually, but it's not even the most important effect to negate on some boards. And 3, there's something about playing random bullshit Go against all manner of universe-destroying dragons that just feels amazing. And the cons. 1, it is really difficult to play optimally. Combos are non-linear, end boards are specific to matchups, and accounting for hand traps is another level of difficult. 2, there's a pretty hard ceiling on the types of interactions you can end on. Short of Cosmo Blazar lines, there are very few ways to account for any action your opponent takes. If the entire format was monster effects, we'd be fine, but if the entire format was monster effects, a format Appaloosa would be an FTK. And 3, a format Appaloosa is an FTK for us. All in all, this deck has the tools to compete, but its complexity and relatively low ceiling will probably keep it out of Tier 1. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons, Chaotic Meatball, Hakuo, AJBYGO, Alex Perea, Andrew Eller, Author Tsukiyomi, BB Poison, Blue Fanfiction Inc., Brandon Field, Brandon Keys, Chibi Gohan, Colin Miller, Crispy, Dan the Man Hoban, Dominic Ernst, Dubs Rewatcher, Frosty, Going Down Swinging, Grant Curry, Indiana Petra, Jack Sack PhD, Night Mary, Major Rusty, Mike Carlotti, Not Witty, Redux, Rocky Hernandez, Rose Lapine, Sarah Routledge, Seeker, Sir Tachyon, Space Condor, Test Subject 213. Oh god. Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Adventure Spence, Afro Ninja 123, Alfred Hendricks, Amaranta V, Anarcho Cameronism, Andrew Benson, Andrew Ferruia, Artemis, Fallen Stalin, Based Madoka, Benjamin Cole Kierman, Billy Williams, Blackacre, Blake Root, Blair, Brendan Peterson, Breaker the Outrage, Captain Breadbeard, Cash Money Yuki, Chad Bortz, Caius, Chase Smith, Chorps Away, Christopher Nikado, Cypher Peon Perpsix, CJ Alex, Cleveland, Cole Schulian, Colin Gustafson, Control for the Win, Crazy Wizza, Crystal Red Fox, Daffy Deathclock, Dan Schwer, Danny Guadalupe, Darcy Tevz, Darla Keys, David Hernandez, Dive Missile, Dogma, Donut 235, Dr. Batman, Dr. Kilometer, Dying Eyes, Dylan Cujo, Distrin, Emily V, Emperor Stove, Ernesto Ibarra, Ethan Brown, Fisker Whiskers, Flying Fudge, FUTR, Gavin K, Griever, Hank Cheesecake, Haroof, How to Lose, Jose Mina, Hunter Smith, Hoob Meyer, I have nothing but contempt for this court, Incredibly Slow, Isaac Jackson, Jacob Pitt, Jay Nanya, Jason Leonard, Jay Gordon, Jeff Leonard, Jell, Jesse Cox, Jonathan Wallace, Jose Luis Cortez, Juliet Julian, Callie, Kendall Fear, Kiffin Arshway, Corey Hess, Kurokaze, Lake Bayer, Lawrence, Leah Lisblitz, Light Knight, Lottie, Lucas Engels, Lucas Geerdes, Lucas BRB, Lucas Arizo Hansen, Majesticat 93, Major Duncan, Marcello, Matajatica, Matthew Taylor, Max, MBT's Toes Will Not Suck Themselves, Merp, Mezzo Emrys, Michael Marks, Miles Edgelord, Mimes Are Creepy, Nick Extreme 99, Nice Toreo, I'm saying that one right. Nico, Niru Soup, Nitro Skull, Nix Dolores, Noted Pop, Noom, Ocean McCool, Olympius, Omase, Austerin, Osmaniac, Partu, Pasho Bon the Otter, High Zur, Picnic Blasted, Pig, Pissy Won't Get Banned, Copium. I mean, probably not. Precise Spike 13, Pro FP2, Pro Hunter 69, Chrono, Ragna, Raska, Revolver Did Nothing Wrong, Rick Martin, Riley Malo, Ross Rumelhart, Ross Yu-Gi-Oh!, Soraya, Sampini, Sapphic Ashley, Scrafted, Sean Deal, Sean Flynn, Second Sandoria, Seraphine, Shareable Carcass, Shy, Spencer Kennedy, Standards Objective, Steve McMullen, Swinkles, Tate Rosencutter, The Carl Moxley, The Saucy Pickle, This Machine 237, Thought Auditor, Time Lord Omega, Vecta 99, Violet Prison, Watson, Why Am I Here, Will Elliott, Yordalehi Who, Yuri's Best. I don't know how to pronounce this one. I know the last one is Yukie, but I don't know what the one above it is. Sorry. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.